Everyone loves a city car, right? So that's why we're in a forest. Anyway, they're great for new drivers on a tight budget and urban city dwellers who need a nippy runaround, and for those who would like a second car to use for occasional shopping duties. And here's the tragedy. Nobody's making them anymore. Fiat's just stopped making the Panda and Petrol 500, and the Citroën C1 and Peugeot 108 died at the start of 2022, so that pretty much leaves just the Kia Picanto, the Hyundai i10 that you'll be able to see here, and this, the Toyota Aygo Cross. Except this isn't a city car. Well, not according to Toyota anyway, who would like us to believe it's an SUV. Come on, Toyota, if it looks like a city car and quacks like a city car, no, it's not a duck. No amount of rugged-looking plastic body cladding, rugged-looking plastic body cladding, rugged-looking plastic body cladding. Okay, that does sound a bit like a rap. Anyway, no amount of that is going to convince us otherwise. Nevertheless, it's a pretty clever car. At 3.7 metres long, it's just 3/4 of the length of a Range Rover. That's what an actual SUV looks like, Toyota. And yet it's got 5 doors, room for 4, and even a reasonably sized boot. There are also neat little weight and cost-saving touches, such as the all-glass rear hatchback, which has been a weight and money-saving Aygo signature since the 2005 original. So it promises big car vibes at a city car size. Hello, M&M? You're too posh. Okay, all right, I get the hint. Anyway, before we go further, subscribe to the Motorpoint YouTube channel, click on the bell icon so that you catch all of our latest videos, and they are not just city cars, and I promise I don't wrap in all of them. Anyway, let's find out what the interior's like. Now, the Aygo Cross isn't the fastest thing on 4 wheels, seeing as its 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine delivers just 72 horsepower. That said, it does manage to feel quite grown up in here. This is only the mid-spec Edge trim, yet you've got climate control, automatic wipers, automatic LED headlights with a high beam assist and 18-inch alloys. Every Aygo also gets lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking and a reversing camera as standard. Every car gets a modern-looking central touchscreen which comes in various sizes depending on the spec of the car, and they all work with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and if you go for the top spec that's also wireless. You also get this very smart but also very small screen for your driver's display just underneath the speedo. Although there are a few of the everyday comforts that you get in big cars, there are also a few reminders that this is closer to budget motoring. For example, the electric windows don't have a one-touch function, so you do have to hold your finger on the switch here. And there are only 2 air vents. You don't get a central air vent like you do in most cars. And finally, the steering wheel adjusts for rake, but not reach. So you just have to find the best driving position you can based on what you've got. The awkward thing is, though, that for a budget car, the Aygo Cross isn't actually that cheap. A Hyundai i10 is noticeably cheaper as a new car, and top-spec models actually nudge the prices of larger cars such as the Volkswagen Polo. At least it's well-equipped, and it offers a manufacturer warranty of up to 10 years if you keep it serviced at a Toyota dealer. Okay. In the back seats, we'll start with the good bits. There are 2 sets of Isofix, which is quite handy, and considering it is a small car, a reasonable amount of space, although you cannot defy the laws of physics. These door openings are very narrow, so some people might find that a little bit tricky or challenging to get in and out. And these windows, the opening is a bit old school and not in a good way, a bit like my wrapping. There's also no armrest and no air vents. Also, it's a bit of a shame there are only 2 seats back here. Some rivals can squeeze in a 3rd rear seat passenger. Back here, thanks to this car being 24 centimetres longer than its predecessor, the boot space is actually quite decent. It's not as much as you'll get in a Hyundai i10 or Kia Picanto, but it is 60 litres more than the previous generation. It comes in at 231 litres, and if you fold down the 2 seats, you get 829 litres. That's pretty decent. Downsides, big load lip, flimsy parcel shelf, and another sign of budget motoring just there. First, some bad news. It weighs just under a tonne, which is good. It's about half the weight of a Toyota Land Cruiser, but it only has 72 horsepower, and so that means it takes 14.8 seconds to get from 0 to 62 miles per hour, which is pretty slow. Most of its rivals use a turbocharger to speed things up a little. In fact, on dual carriageways and motorways, you really have to work that non-turbo 1 litre hard to keep up with traffic. Rev the engine out and it gets quite noisy too. At least the Aygo Cross is impressively fuel efficient. The official figures are 56.5 miles per gallon, and actually we've got pretty close to that, even with an automatic gearbox, and even when working it quite hard, you can get over 50 miles per gallon. Another good aspect of the Aygo Cross's on-road behaviour is that it feels quite agile, although again, the Kia Picanto is more fun on a country road. If you find a manual, the gear shifter is well positioned and it has a sweet feel. And despite the clutch feeling light, it can be difficult to find the biting point. No such issues with this CVT Auto, although it does have a tendency to hold on to the revs a bit, which sounds a little intrusive. Think we're being polite here. Please change.
A few moments later.
And now we're up to speed. The noise has gone and it's actually a very relaxing car to drive. The ride is pretty firm, but it's more comfortable, composed and less fidgety than you might expect from such a small car. The short wheelbase does make the Aygo a little susceptible to buffeting from crosswinds, however. Okay, so the Aygo Cross offers some big car equipment in a small package and a surprising amount of space. And it sips fuel at a very gentle rate. I'm just picturing a lovely calm afternoon tea here. Anyway, it's also one of the cheapest cars to insure and probably one of the most reliable too. But, it's a little unrefined and a bit noisy at times, plus it's a little bit expensive and it misses out on that literal boost from a turbocharger. That said, the Toyota Aygo Cross is a funky little car, and if you believe what Toyota says, that it is a small SUV and not a small city car, then it doesn't really have any rivals.